Welcome, everybody. I hope everybody could hear me well. So, the guest tonight that I'm going to introduce to you is my friend, and I went to a pilgrimage last year on the Jubilee Year of Hope. And we traveled, it was called the Holy Family Pilgrimage. We went through the 4 doors, and somebody had said, you should hear a story. So is here to share the story. I'm telling you, I cried and I cried. It's a beautiful story. It's horrific yet beautiful at the same time. Can't explain it until you hear it. I'm gonna put on now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Aaron?
Now this was big news. It was in Florida.
I'm the good-looking one.
Hi. I'm gonna
I have
pin you.
4 sons.
Wonderful. Okay.
Spotlight her.
Oh, hi everyone. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
Nice to meet you. Thank you for coming on.
No, thank you everyone for having me. I will try to say the story, without getting choked up. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes. Perfectly.
So, basically this happened to me in 2009. And I have 4 sons. This is my youngest, Frankie. And I think, I was going through a rough divorce, and I was separated from my husband at the time. We were living in the same house, which I don't advise anybody to do ever. It wasn't a great thing. So I'll be honest with you that it wasn't a good divorce. It was very difficult. It was hard for me. And I'd been married for almost 20 years. So I was, I'm not going to lie, I'll be honest with you, my ex-husband had cheated on me on many occasions, and I just had it at that point. So I thought I was just going to go out and get my own revenge, and, so it wasn't the best decision that I ever made, but
Revenge?
Yes, for getting cheated on. And I guess God showed me quickly how that wasn't the right thing to do. So I just made a very big mistake. I'm not proud of this at all, but I met someone that was a lot younger than me, and it was just nice to have someone that cared about me and felt, I guess some sort of an attraction. And I had a sort of an affair with them, although, like I said, I was separated at the time. My ex-husband was a police officer. This person was probably not one of the best people, but whatever. I probably went the opposite direction and made a lot of mistakes. I was not used to dating. I'd been in the dating field for so long, and I mistaken, I guess, infatuation for someone that cared about me. So I realized it wasn't the best thing after, on and off for a few months. And then I decided I wanted to break it off. I actually thought my husband and I at the time would try to make things work, but that didn't really happen. So I guess he wasn't understanding that I was trying to break it off. So I tried several times to end the relationship when I found out how young he really was. He was only 21 years old and I was 41. So I decided to break it off, and he wasn't really listening. So I was meeting a friend one night to go out to dinner, and he begged me to come and help him cash his check. He was an electrician, but he was an apprentice at the time. So I brought him I figured if I saw him in person, explained it to him, he'd understand that it was over. I didn't want to continue in this relationship. He refused to get out of my car, insisted that I could smell he'd been drinking, although I don't know if he had done anything else. I came to find out after the fact, they said he was bipolar, although I don't know that. I really didn't know him that well. So I proceeded, he wouldn't get out of my car, and he said the only way he would is if I went inside the house that he lived at with his grandparents and his aunts and uncles, but no one was home at the time. And unbeknownst to me, I was actually a little annoyed because I wanted to, leave. So I was like, fine, I'll go in. He said he wanted to show me something. So I went in, and he locked the door behind me. And unbeknownst to me, he was planning to murder me. So I had only been in there one other time before. He asked if I liked what he had done in there. I didn't know what he meant. So then it was, that live in Florida. This was in Florida. They have ceramic tile on the floor. So he kind of kicked the couch and it slid. And there was a machete on the floor. And I was like, what is that? And he picked it up and he put it against my throat. And he said, this is how you're going to die tonight. So for 3 hours, he tortured me. He kept saying he was going to chop my head off. And I kept putting my arm. I lost 2 fingers. My right arm was almost completely severed. He hit the back of my head with the handle, also my left elbow. And then he sliced my left breast. And then I managed to get on the couch, and I was going to try to kick him like between the legs to try to get out and run to the door. And then he chopped my foot almost completely off.
During this whole time, what was he saying to you? How were you trying to stop him? How were you trying to stop him?
So my dad was a retired police officer, but he had always told us growing up, if you're ever in a situation, because a sister of mine had gotten attacked once, obviously not that severely, but he said always try to say your name, say their name, say things to make you a person. And I had to remain calm, because I know it sounds silly, but you see in all those movies, women are screaming and yelling, and it just makes things worse. So I kept trying to talk, and not known to me, I lost 90% of my blood. He tortured me for 3 hours. I kept trying to calm him down. He told me that I humiliated him and, broke his heart and whatever, and that he wanted me to die. And then I managed when I was on the ground, because I sat down after my foot was almost off. I couldn't run at that point. So my arm was almost completely off. So there was like white sheets on the couch. So I said, look, I'm just going to wrap my arm, because I'd been holding it together with a stuffed animal that I found on the couch. So I managed to wrap it with the sheet. But when I turned to do that, he sliced my back open from one end to the other with the machete. So then I was like, I don't know how I'm going to stop that bleeding. So I figured I might as well just lay on the floor, and put pressure on my back. I have to tell you, I worked for the fire department, and at the academy, we had firefighter paramedics. So I did have a little bit of, some CPR training. So then he was pacing back and forth, and he slipped in my blood, because at the time it was probably around 7, 8 o'clock, and you couldn't really see. There were no lights on. So he did slip in my blood, and the machete fell on the floor. So I couldn't really move. So I slid across the floor in my blood and managed to get the machete underneath my back to hide it from him. But in the meantime, his aunt kept calling. His grandparents were they were renewing their wedding vows in Miami. They kept calling to see where he was. And I was screaming in the background, call 911, call 911. So instead of doing that, his aunt just decided to drive up. So it was probably a 45-minute ride. I didn't know she was driving up. And then he told me that, I know he had a 2-year-old son, and I asked why he was doing this to me. I didn't do anything to him. I have 4 children. Please let me, live long enough. Let me speak to my children. Let me call them. And then when I got the machete away from him, he went into the kitchen and got a kitchen knife, stabbed me in the throat, and then started to stab me in the... And I guess I cringed at the time. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. And then he stabbed me in the stomach a good 10 times.
Oh.
And then my body kind of cringed, I guess, forward, and he saw the machete underneath my back. So then he got the machete, and I knew I was going to die. So I decided, let me just pray my last rites. And I started to ask God for forgiveness, and, that I repent of the devil, please take me to heaven. You know, I just kept praying and praying. And when I did that, he turned the knife on himself. He slit his wrist. And at first he stood over me like Jesus on a cross as the blood was dripping from his wrist. And then he chopped his foot almost completely off. And then he laid down like next to me, between me and the door. And then he said, you know, we'll die together. Like, he knew my favorite movie was The Notebook. So he said, we'll die together like in The Notebook. But of course, you know, in my brain, I'm going, oh no, I'm going to live long enough to make sure you go down for this. So, and then somebody, I don't know what came over me. And I know I told you this, Karen. I felt God at that point. And I just knew I was going to be saved. It was like a calm that I felt from my head to my toes, and I just knew it. I knew I was going to be saved. And within seconds, lights came up in the driveway. I guess it was his aunt. And she came and turned the lights on and screamed. And I said, call 911 right now. And she did. And cops came within a few minutes. Then the cops came, and I could only see from the ground. So, because I'm laying on the floor, he's next to me. And the cop came in, turned around, went outside and vomited because it had to be a bloodbath in there. I mean, so then the paramedics came in and they separated us, and they kept asking what was going on and if I was okay. What happened was this, a home invasion, and he wasn't speaking. And and before, when they came, he said to me, if you make it, I'm going to have my brother finish you off. So he also stole my ring. I had a very expensive ring. He stole that as well. And it was on my left hand, obviously. And he said if I didn't give it to him, that he chopped those fingers off. So I had to try to pull it off with my mouth because I couldn't use my other fingers. I actually did see my fingers go flying across the room. But then the paramedics came, and then I told them I worked for the fire department. Some of them actually knew who I was because they came there for training. And then they said to me, did you do that to him? And I was like, no way. And they said, did he do this to you? And I said, yes, he did. And they stopped working on him at that point out of respect for me. But then they had called a helicopter to airlift. And initially they wanted to airlift him because they thought he had head trauma, but I was speaking. And then they took me, and I guess at that point, I actually then felt all the pain, and they airlifted me to Broward North. And like I said, they said I lost 90% of my blood. He ruptured my intestines and perforated them. My kidneys shut down. I was on dialysis. They put me in a self-induced coma. 90% of my blood. I had a blood infection. They called my parents. And they said, your daughter's not going to make it, so you might want to call a priest. So my father, who has 4 daughters, said, you don't know that one. Of all my daughters, she's the most stubborn. If anyone's going to make it, it's her. And
can I interrupt? Okay.
I'm sure I forgot some. I'm nervous. I'm sorry.
No. Don't be nervous. You told me that you had some kind of I think a premonition about writing about.
Prior.
Okay.
Yes. You want me to say that?
Yeah.
Okay. So I don't know why I had a premonition about a week or 2 before this that something was going to happen to me. I don't know why. And God must have put it in my heart. And I'd been watching the show. I don't know if anyone ever heard of Terry Schiavo, where she was on life support and the parents were fighting to keep her alive. And I called my sister in New York and I said, if something happens to me, he'll let me die. I don't know what to do. And she said, yep. So, because he had a very young girlfriend at the time. So, but I don't know what I'm going to do. So I wrote a letter. I have no idea why. And it said, if I'm deemed incapable of making decisions for myself, if I'm in a coma or incapacitated in any way, my estranged husband is not allowed to make any medical decisions on my behalf. In his absence, parents go and whoever I gave all their information. I brought it to work the next day, and the only person that knew that letter existed was my sister. And when I went to work, the lady I work with, I had her notarize it, and I put it in a sealed envelope, and I gave it to my son, John, the one that's disabled. I don't know if you told him about John, Karen. And then he put it in a drawer, and I said, if anything happens to mommy, you give this to grandma and grandpa. I didn't even tell him what was on it. And that first night, they needed to do multiple surgeries, and my husband at the time was in Miami getting matching tattoos with his girlfriend, and they were calling him for approval. And then my parents were in a panic, and then my son John said, oh, Aunt Andrew, remember the letter my mom wrote? And she said, oh yeah. And they ran back home, got the letter, gave it to my parents, and from then on, my parents made all my decisions. So I was in the hospital a couple of months. They put me in a coma. I had a trach in my throat. Like I said, I was on dialysis. I was septic, I had sepsis. And they said if she survives, she'll be severely brain damaged. And none of that happened. They said I probably wouldn't walk. I don't even have a limp. I was in a wheelchair. They had to reteach me how to walk, and with the talking and swallowing again, because they were feeding me through a tube. So I went through all of that, and then he was in jail, obviously, for first-degree premeditated attempted murder. And I survived by the grace of God.
Your back was sliced. Your foot was dangling off. Your arm, was it your arm or your hand also? Your fingers were severed.
My right arm, my fingers, my left foot, my left breast, my stomach, my back. Yes, in the throat.
So what
in my face, he caught me.
Yeah. What gave you the will to go on? What most people would be like, just take me now.
My children. And because of my son and everything he survived,
I didn't tell them about
that
John.
helped me. And I have a disabled son who shouldn't be here. By the grace of God, he's alive. So when people say all the time, you've had 2 tragedies. He had a brain tumor when he was 4. And I just knew it in the pit of my stomach, something was wrong. And they told me to take him home. And just when the good Lord takes him, I said, absolutely not. And I fought to find a doctor that would operate. They said he'd be a vegetable. I said, that's my decision to make. So I went to NYU, they operated, and the same thing. He had the tube in his throat. We had to teach him how to walk and talk again. It was like the similarities were uncanny. It's almost like God prepared me with my child. And he was mostly, obviously my other children as well, but John was my inspiration. And then his tumor started to come back again, and we went to St. Jude. So if you want to tell everyone, you want to give St. Jude is the best charity ever, and you know someone that survived. He's 34 years old now. He is disabled, but he's here, and he's alive. He has had a stroke as well, but knowing I had to be here for my children, and knowing that their father probably wouldn't be taking care of them, that was my inspiration to stay alive and to tell my story. And we went to court almost a year later. No, it was a little over a year later. And he actually apologized, which was surprising. And of course, my parents said that was, fake. He cried. They said it was crocodile tears. He said he didn't remember. And he said, you're an amazing person, a wonderful mother. I'm so sorry. I don't even remember. And he was crying. And something inside of me forgave him. And I have no ill will toward him. I don't wish him any harm. He went to jail, and I prayed that, God to save his soul. And if he found Jesus in jail, I did my job. And I haven't changed my outlook. That was 17 years ago. I still forgive him. He's a human being, just like all of us. Maybe if he had said to me, you stupid bitch, you ruined my life, I don't know, maybe I'd feel differently, but he didn't. And I know it was only the grace of God that gave me the forgiveness that I have in my heart. Are you there?
Yeah. And that's why I wanted to bring you on, Jackie, because Jesus said, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. It's a two-way deal. And
Absolutely.
yours is way harder than any of us have experienced. And you were able to do it. And I think that people should reconsider, because look at you now. You're free.
I am. Well, I did forgive him also for myself. I don't want to have that hanging over me. But I want God to forgive me. How do I expect God to forgive me if I can't forgive others? It's not right. We all sin differently. So it's unfair of me to not forgive someone else. You know, I say, Karen, I told you before, if they heard my children, maybe it would be different. But it was me. But I do forgive him. And I think my children do. I have my son here. Did you want to say something? Say what you said before about forgiveness.
No, I was watching this video about this older guy. He's kind of like some kind of psychiatrist or something, but his grandparents were in the Holocaust, and he was talking to people about the Holocaust and what the Jews went through. And this one lady was saying, how can we forgive the Nazis for everything they did? Like, they were such horrible people. And he's like, he talked about this book where this woman who was a Holocaust survivor ended up going to like where Hitler was and
Back to Germany.
Germany, and forgave him and the Nazis, and explaining how she's like, I don't believe I should hold that hate for them in my heart when we're all human. He explained how, in his point of view, he agrees that if you just look at them as like the bad guys, whoever, you know, the group of people may be or singular person, it's easy to hate them and just see them as the villain. But when you look at a lot of these bad people who have done horrible things, just look at even their childhood. You know, typically they have horrible childhoods. You know, they were abused themselves, mistreated, and then they go on to be the abuser themselves. So that's why with God and Jesus, he said, those who live by the sword die by the sword. Forgive those, as you said earlier, because we're all human. We all sin and hurt others and make mistakes, some worse than others. But the point is to find a way to live through this life together and with God. And if we can't even love one another, how are we expected to love God?
And you forgive the guy.
Yeah, I mean, I forgive the guy that hurt my mom. I don't, think I could ever be friends with the guy. But...
So what's amazing is that she wanted to survive because she wanted to take care, especially of, because had brain cancer. He was going back and forth, and she felt like nobody would be able to take care of him. She lived for her sons, but mainly John, who was really young at the time.
Say hi.
Hello.
That's my other son. And we're picking up from school. I have a crazy life, and you know that, Italian living in New York. In Florida. He's a firefighter. A lot of family support.
You gonna get him?
And, Jesus Christ, I mean, in my heart, always, and pushing me to be the best person that I can be, and just feeling happy and thankful to be alive, and I choose to see the glass half full, not half empty. I choose to see, people say all the time, cheating husband, you almost got killed, you should hate men. I don't. I have 4 amazing sons, a great father, a great brother. Why would I hate men? Why would I take that out on them?
Look how good looking her youngest son here is. I mean, come on.
My comedian.
Laughter is a good one too.
I was just curious, how did she stop her other sons from not finishing him off?
They were young, first of all, at the time.
Yeah, I was 9.
But Karen, you read the letter my son wrote.
Yeah,
I saw how he felt. That was.
Yeah.
He was in jail. When I spoke to them, about I wasn't doing the best thing either. I have to take some responsibility. We all do. No one's perfect. It wasn't a random attack. I didn't know the person. And it's not right. Again, like, we've all made mistakes. We've all done things wrong. Obviously not to that severity, but even so, that's not in God's eyes, a sin is a sin. We're all sinners. And how fair is that to them? If I was angry and bitter and resentful, that's not fair to them either. What kind of life are they going to have?
Well, you wouldn't have been as good of a mom if you were that way.
Yeah.
Part of the reason we're able to move on is because she was able to move on.
Right.
No,
my oldest is disabled, and my youngest is his caretaker. And then my second son is a firefighter paramedic, and my son that just got out, he's becoming a court officer. So I have,
I'm the teaser. I say it's part of being a brother. It's in the job description.
I have a great family. I'm one of 5. Between me and my siblings, we have 17 kids. My Italian friend there will understand that. So,
I read the letter. You sent me 4 letters from family members trying to write to God. Now, the way they write about you, they have such high accolades. They hold you in the highest regard, your sons, and the love that pours out in the letters, that alone. I had mascara on, and imagine it stung my eye so bad. I said to her, I can't read it right now. I can't read it. It's burning my eyes. But it is amazing how you love each other. And that's probably what made you survive, because the love.
Absolutely. My kids were there. I mean, at first, as you see in the letter my son wrote, they told my kids I got in a car accident. I mean, they didn't want to stay. It was brutal. I was on the news. I mean, it was a lot, because I was, like I said, tortured for several hours, and, the damage that he did. But by the...
Karen, there's a question that I see from someone, BVM.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's a very horrific story, and I wanted people to hear this, because it's like Jesus, who suffered on the cross, much less than Jesus, but much more than any of us have ever had to suffer. But yet she had forgiveness, and look at her. She's not an angry person. She's so joyful, and it was such an incredible joy to be with them. And when we were in Rome, since it was a Jubilee year, from one point to St. Peter's Square, and you go inside the cathedral, we went in our little pilgrimage. Everybody did it. They made their own pilgrimage, and we carry the crosses. And was the one who carried the cross, and it was very moving and beautiful. And he was amazing to be with, too.
I think we're back.
Oh, good. There's some...
Getting in the car.
Oh, hi.
He's not in yet.
Okay. All right. Someone asked, have you forgiven your ex-husband for cheating? How is your son's relationship with their father today?
I forgive him for cheating. What could I do? I mean, no, he's the only man I ever loved, I know that was the love of my life, and, that ended. He married that other girl, a very young girl. They had a child together, and then she left him and the kid. So he's 60-something years old, raising an 8-year-old in Arizona. So I guess that keeps a lot of his time busy. He doesn't really have much of a relationship with the boys. On his mind, it's either you're with me or you're with your mother, but I tell them all, do I not? He's still your father at the end of the day. It's his birthday, it's Christmas, it's Father's Day, call him. He's receptive to them when they call, but I don't know.
I mean, I think somewhere inside, he has his own issues too, because like I said, how most people, are abused and then become the abuser. He was abused as a child, and he didn't have a father in the home, and, he became just like his father, actually, because his father cheated on my grandmother and then left, and he did the same thing. So I don't hate him. I love him, but I'm also not going to keep reaching out to get rejected myself, So if he wants to be in my life, he's welcome to it, but, he has to also try. Same thing with God. He reaches his hand out, but he's not going to force you to grab his hand back. It's a two-way street. So
yeah. We have another question. Having forgiven, Does your mind ever wander back to the event? Do you ever find yourself feeling angry and feeling vindictive? And if so, how do you deal with that?
Never. I can't explain it, Karen.
It's
I
a great.
don't. I only think how stupid I was for going in that house. That's the only thing because I remember not thinking anything, saying, okay, let's get it over with. I'm going to go in the house. How stupid am I? That's what I really regret. What the heck was I thinking? You know? But no, I don't. I just, even that night, because he said to me, you know, about the mother of his child, that, excuse my French, he said I would have killed that bitch as well if she wasn't the mother of my kid. So then he called her on the phone in the midst of doing all this and hands me the phone. Now, I obviously can't hold the phone. He put it up to my face and told me to tell her what was happening. So I'm thinking I'm talking to a person and I'm saying, look, I'm still alive, but I'm probably going to die. We're at the house, like speaking like that. And she thought it was a joke because it was on the voicemail. I didn't realize that. And she thought it was a joke. Thankfully, she kept the message because she saw it on the news and then called the police. So they have that, you know, as proof, but not that they really needed that. But she said to him, she said to the detectives that he told her, I met someone and we're in love. And that just kind of blew my mind because I was like, I didn't know that he felt that way, you know. And, you know, that wasn't really what happened. But I don't know, maybe in his sick mind, in his young mind, you know, which is why, again, I say I cannot say that, you know, I'm 100% not at fault. Did I deserve what happened to me? Absolutely not. I didn't do anything to deserve that. That's just not right. But, you know, I'm not perfect, you know, and I made mistakes too. So again, but I do not have anger. I don't think of that night and feel anger and then feel like I have to forgive again. I've already forgiven him. And I think my kids, you guys do too, right? They're in the back seat.
Yeah, kind of.
How about you? Yeah.
I mean, not fully, but I'm getting there. Hey, Karen.
How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
This is the life of the party here.
She knows
Jackie.
that personally.
Yes.
Thank you
I'm
so
sorry
much.
I spoke so long. I hope, you know.
No, you did not. You did not.
Just to
There's
say
so
everyone,
much more.
And there's a lot more to this, you know. I just wanted to kind of give you, you know, everything, you know, pretty much what happened. But please, I mean, everything is forgivable, you know. I mean, if someone continues to repeatedly hurt you, obviously do not stay, whatever kind of relationship it is, you know, a child, parent, you know, siblings, spouse, whatever. But is it worth it? You know, on your deathbed, are you going to say to yourself, I'm so glad I was mad at that person and I held on to that anger for what? That doesn't help you or them. You know, everything's forgivable. I really, honestly, if someone tried to murder me, like it wasn't an accident, it wasn't a random shot. I mean, he tortured me for hours, you know, and I forgive him.
Amen.
I do. So you could all forgive. Isn't that, you know, what God teaches us? Look what he went through. If he could go through that, you know, what I went through is nothing in comparison. So,
Amen.
amen is right.
So that's the
you
whole
all
point of this. That's the whole
Yes.
point of this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Karen, send me. I mean, I'd like to be part of this if I can, you know. What do
You
you mean
are
every Wednesday?
invited. We'll look at you and we'll remember your example. And thank you, God. Thank you so much that someo's living out that example.
Thank you, Jesus.